This video is on synthetic division and synthetic substitution. So we're going to start off with synthetic division. So it says divide using synthetic division. What I need to look for is that my dividend is in standard form. So x cubed, x squared, x constant, and that I'm not missing anything. So again, I have my x cubed term, so I have to have an x squared, an x variable, and a constant with no variable. Okay, so I have that. Then I need to look at my divisor. Okay, so I take my divisor and I'm going to set it equal to 0. So I get x plus 3 equals 0. And I solve for x. So to solve for x, I subtract 3. So I get x equals negative 3. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in what I call a half box. So it looks like this. And then I take all my coefficients from my dividend and I bring them down. So that would be 3, negative 3, negative 2, 17, and negative 12. So I'm going to bring those down. So negative 3, negative 2, 17, negative 12. I leave a space and I draw a line. Okay, from here, I drop down my first term. I always drop down my first term, and then I start multiplying. Okay, so when I multiply, I do negative 3 times negative 3, and I get 9, and that goes above the line. So that gives me a positive 9. And then I add negative 2 plus 9 is a positive 7. And then again, I multiply by negative 3. I repeat the process. So 7 times negative 3 is a negative 21. I add down. So 17 plus a negative 21 is a negative 4. And again, I multiply by a negative 3. Negative 4 times negative 3 gives me a positive 12. And again, I add down. Negative 12 plus 12 is 0. So from here, the last one is always my remainder. The 4 is my constant. The negative 4 is my constant. This is my x and my x squared term. So when I write my answer, I get negative 3x squared plus 7x minus 4. And I don't have a remainder, so I don't need to write it, and that's it. I'd get the same thing if I did long division. Looking at example 2, okay, so I have x to the 4th, x cubed, and then x. So I'm missing an x squared term, so I need to write that in. So I'm going to write that in. So I have 3x to the 4th minus x cubed plus 0x plus, or x squared, I'm sorry, plus 5x minus 1. And it's still being divided by x plus 2. So again, I take my divisor, I set it equal to 0, and I solve for x. So I subtract 2, I get x equals negative 2. That goes in my little half box. I bring down all my coefficients, okay, including the 0. So I have 3, negative 1, 0, 5, negative 1. Leave a space, draw a line. Okay, from here, I drop down my first term. So I bring down a 3, and then I multiply. Negative 2 times 3, I get a negative 6. Okay, and then I add. Negative 1 plus negative 6, I get a negative 7. Again, I multiply by negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14. I add. 0 plus 14 is 14. I multiply negative 2 times 14. I get a negative 28. I add. 5 plus a negative 28 is a negative 23. And then I multiply again. Negative 2 times a negative 23 is a positive 46. I add and I get a positive 45. Negative 1 plus 46 is a positive 45. This is my remainder, my constant, my x squared, my x cubed. So I write my answer. 3x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 23 plus 45 over my divisor, which was x plus 2. And there's my answer when I divide. Again, I'd get the same answer if I did long division. Okay, moving on to the next example. I have 3x, or not 3x, sorry, example 3. I have 6x squared minus 5x plus 6, or minus 6, I'm sorry, divided by x plus 3. So I take x plus 3, set it equal to 0. I subtract 3 from both sides. I get x equals negative 3. That goes in my half box. I look at my dividend. It's in standard form. I'm not missing anything, so I bring down my coefficients. So I have 0, negative 5, negative 6. Leave a space, draw a line, bring down my 6. Negative 3 times 6 is a negative 18. Negative 5 plus negative 18 is a negative 23. Negative 3 times a negative 23 is a positive 69. Negative 6 plus 69 gives me 63. Again, my remainder, my constant, my x. So I get 6x minus 23 plus 63 over x plus 3. And there's my answer. I have one more example of synthetic division. Okay, so this one I have x squared minus 3x minus 18 divided by x minus 6. It's in the form of a fraction. Again, that just means division. Okay, so I take my divisor, I set it equal to 0. I add 6 to both sides. I get x equals 6. That goes in my half box. Then I have my coefficients. I have 1, negative 3, negative 18. Leave a space, draw a line, bring down my first term. So x times, or 6 times 1 is 6. Negative 3 plus 6 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Negative 18 plus 18 is 0. So I don't have a remainder on this one. So still remainder, constant, x. So I have 1x plus 3, and that's it. So this is how you do synthetic synthetic division.